What's up everybody, Kyle here at Let's Talk Wax. The 2023 Bowman Draft Checklist has been live for a few weeks now with a release date set for December 14th. In this video, I'll be breaking down my 25 favorite hitters with a first chrome auto or a first chrome card. I'll also be covering my favorite pitchers on this checklist in a future video, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss that content. Now, on this card you will see my Juggernaut and Let's Talk Wax ranking systems. My Let's Talk Wax rank is subjective and based on my own opinion, while the Juggernaut uses specific 2023 stats to create an objective ranking. I'll be applying a Let's Talk Wax rank and Juggernaut rank to each player on this list. Players are also grouped into tiers based on their Let's Talk Wax rank, and the order within each tier has no significance on this list. Kicking off this video in Tier 3 is T-Sean T.J. Walton, who is probably one of the most physical high school players selected in this draft class. He's built more like an SEC linebacker than a baseball player. He's 6'3" and 215 pounds with average speed but a high power ceiling. He posted some of the highest exit velos of any high school player in the perfect game circuit this summer. He was a 4th round pick and hit .385 with 3 extra base hits in his pro debut. His ISO is a bit inflated by a small sample size. He didn't hit any home runs. 17 plate appearances is way too small to scout a stat line, so we'll have to see what happens in the front half of 2024 to get a better read on TJ. Ty Pete was picked up in the first round, 30th overall by the Seattle Mariners. He's got some pretty big power to his pull side with way above average athleticism. His physical projection is also high, having a solid build already standing around 6'2" as an 18-year-old. He's one of the youngest players in this draft class at 18.2. He was a two-way player throughout his career and has the arm to profile at third base if he grows out of shortstop. I'm a bit worried about the K rates coming out of his first pro season, but we only got a 100th plate appearance sample size. He'll need to cut down the Ks and get better at using the whole field to hit. Max Anderson was picked up in the second round out of the University of Maryland. In his final season with the Terrapins, he hit a whopping .414 with 21 home runs and 22 extra base hits. Anderson makes a lot of contact, posting an 11.8% K rate in the Big Ten and a sub-20 K percentage in Low A last season. He'll need to continue to show the ability to hit for average and power, as his defensive side and speed are average. After a good debut in the minor leagues in 2023, he should start the 2024 season in High A. Johnny Farmello is a very physical 6'2" teenager and makes other kids his size look a bit skinny and weak. He almost looks like a football player. He was the Mariners' first round pick out of Westfield High School in Virginia. He's got some pretty loud tools across the board with the exception of an average arm. Farmello has been clocked as low as 6.3 on a 60-yard dash, showing great raw speed. Without any plate appearances in 2023, we can't get a look at how his tools play in-game. That will have to be the big wait until 2024. One thing is for certain though, he passes the eye test. Big time. Cam Fisher was drafted in the 4th round out of UNC Charlotte, where he hit .348 with 30 home runs in his final season. He's got some juice, finishing 3rd among all NCAA players in home runs. He got off to a decent start in his first professional season, hitting .273 with 5 homers and 6 doubles, pushing his ISO to .227 on the year. Fisher doesn't have a high defensive ceiling, as he profiles as a corner outfielder with his average speed, but the bat writes the checks. I'm hoping the K numbers show improvement as he moves further up in the Astros system. The Astros farm system is stacked with outfield talent, and Fisher will have to produce in order to gain any hobby notoriety. Devin Saltaban was drafted in the 3rd round out of Hilo High School in Hawaii. He played in the MLB Draft League this summer, which got him a bit more exposure than he received playing in his home state. He's an athletic 6-foot player who looks quite physical for his age. He's had some success with the wooden bat between the MLB Draft League and the Complex League this season. His K rates are also pretty good for a player his age. I watched some video of him defensively, and I think he'd profile better at third base or a corner outfield spot. Saltaban could be a bit of a sleeper in this release though, so be sure to check out what he does in 2024. Colton Ledbetter was picked up in the 2nd round out of Mississippi State University. He looks to have an above average hit tool, power, and speed. He spent 2 years at Samford before transferring to Mississippi State, where he hit .320 with 12 home runs and 12 doubles, posting a 0.76 K to walk ratio. He is a solid player with a very high floor who has had success in the toughest conference in the NCAA. I get some Chase DeLauder vibes with this guy. Homer Bush was drafted in the 4th round out of Grand Canyon University, where he hit .370 in his final season after hitting .284 in the Cape Cod League the summer before. Across 3 levels in his pro debut, he hit .325 with excellent K numbers. Homer Bush is a lot like a right-handed version of Enrique Bradfield offensively. Speed and hit tools are much better than the power output. I'm not sure how much upside there is defensively here, as he split most of his time this season between center field and left field. Braden Taylor was drafted in the 1st round, 19th overall by the Devil Rays following his junior year at Texas Christian University. He was one of the better NCAA bats in the draft, hitting .308 with 23 homers and 14 stolen bases. He also held a sub-20 K percentage with a near 1-to-1 K to walk ratio. He made his professional debut in the Complex League and was quickly promoted to Low A, where he didn't have much success over a small sample size. He's got the ability to hit for both average and power. If you watch any video, he's got a smooth and effortless stroke from the left side. Hobby-wise, he'll have to make some quick success in High A or Double A next season, since he's rapidly approaching 23 years of age. Breaking into our 2.5 tier players is Dylan Head. Head was the San Diego Padres' 1st round selection out of Homewood High School in Flossmoor, Illinois. He's one of the most athletic players on this checklist and makes a lot of gap-to-gap contact. His top tool is his speed, which dramatically increases his defensive value in center field. The big question mark here is the bat. He's built for speed with a lean 6-foot frame, which he'll need to beef up in the next year or two. At a fresh 19, he's still got plenty of time to grow into a bit more power, but as it stands, he's a speed hit profile. If you guys enjoy my content and you want to help support the channel, be sure to check out my Patreon page. Over there, you can find my complete breakdown of the entire 2023 Bowman Draft Prospect Checklist, along with breakdowns from every Bowman release since 2019. I also have my 2023 Draft Team Break Guide uploaded, along with team break guides for all Bowman releases since 2020. Other perks include access to my top 100 Bowman Chrome Autos list, my top 100 Bowman Chrome Autos under $50 list, access to my Juggernaut ranking system sorted by rank and by player, and early access to all of my YouTube content. If you want to help support the channel and unlock lots of exclusive content, I'll put a link to my Patreon page in the video description. Ralphie Velasquez has some of the biggest raw power in the 2023 high school draft class, which led the Guardians to select him in the 1st round. He's a very physical 6'3" and looks a lot like a college graduate. He doesn't have to work hard to generate big pop from the left side, which he did in a small complex league sample size. He's not an impact runner, and his defensive skills behind the plate are fringy. He could transition to first base, and his high ceiling bat could play at that position down the road. There are many reports about his plus makeup and leadership skills, which is quite impressive considering he's one of the youngest players coming out of this draft class. I'm not sure if you follow the Baseball Bat Bros on YouTube, but there's a video of him hitting a ball into the stratosphere with minimal effort. I get strong Xavier Isaac vibes here. Luke Keshaw was the Twins' 2nd round pick out of Arizona State University. During his final season with the Sun Devils, he hit .358 with 18 homers, 26 extra base hits, and 18 stolen bases. He moved through 3 levels in his professional debut, finishing the 2023 season in High A. He continued to show off his hit tool, hitting for average and a bit of power while holding a combined sub-20 K rate through the 3 levels. He doesn't bring a ton of defensive upside along for the ride, but if his bat continues to perform, he should fit well at second base. Jacob Gonzalez was drafted in the 1st round, 15th overall out of Ole Miss. During his junior year with the Rebels, he hit .327 with 10 home runs, 18 doubles, and 51 RBI. He showed off a bit more power in 2022, hitting 18 home runs, but it impacted his batting average in a negative way. He doesn't have a ton of speed, but he's a polished bat that can play anywhere on the infield. He had more walks than strikeouts at Ole Miss, and his K numbers are elite so far in the lower minors. Right now, I kind of see Gonzalez as a high floor player who would comp well with Brooks Lee, with the exception of switch hitting. Enrique Bradfield was the Orioles' 1st round selection, 17th overall out of Vanderbilt University. Bradfield was an amazing leadoff man for the Commodores, hitting .279 with 15 extra base hits and 6 home runs. His K numbers were also very good, as he finished the year with a 13% K rate while holding a sub-1 K to walk ratio. Aside from the hit tool, Bradfield is the fastest player in the 2023 draft and also plays an amazing center field. He's got Victor Scott or Chandler Simpson level speed with plus defensive upside. The question mark is the bat and how it will pan out in the minors. He hit for average across 3 levels in 2023, but there's a very low power ceiling here, if you want to call it a ceiling at all. A comp that comes to mind here is Justin Crawford with a little less bat. Blake Mitchell was the Royals' first round pick, 8th overall out of Sinton High School in Texas. He's listed as a catcher, but his athleticism and double-plus arm strength could profile him in a corner outfield spot as we speak. He was, without a doubt, one of the most decorated high school players with Texas Player of the Year honors and his accolades with Team USA. He was a 3rd high school player selected in the draft behind Max Clark and Walker Jenkins, which goes to show how highly scouts regard his abilities. Over a small sample size, he hit .147 with only 1 extra base hit and 52 plate appearances. His pro debut was rather rough and may scare some prospectors away, but I'll need a full season of data to formulate a proper stat line evaluation. Side note, if the bat doesn't play, he can rip upper 90s on the mound. Cole Carrig is the first prospect I've seen split time equally between shortstop, center field, and catcher. He was the Rockies' 2nd round selection out of San Diego State University, where he hit .303 during his junior year, but didn't show off much power, leaving the yard only 2 times in 174 plate appearances. Following the draft, his power numbers skyrocketed across 2 levels, where he hit 5 home runs, 10 doubles, and 5 triples in his professional debut. The 6'3" Carrick has an exceptional offensive and defensive ceiling and could be one of the biggest sleepers in this release. He's already provided more offense in 150 plate appearances than Drew Romo has in his entire career, and his athleticism and double-plus arm strength could slingshot him into being a top catching prospect in the organization by the end of 2024. Leading off our Tier 2 rank is Tommy Troy, and he was the Arizona Diamondbacks' 1st round pick, 12th overall out of Stanford University. He's another one of the top college bats in the 2023 draft. In his final season with Stanford, he hit .394 with 17 home runs, 21 extra base hits, and 17 stolen bases. He also had a strong showing in the Cape Cod Baseball League last year, hitting .310 with 5 homers and 127 plate appearances. Troy's best tool is the hit tool, with power and speed following behind. He spent the majority of his time defensively at second base at Stanford, but the D-backs have him playing strictly shortstop since the draft. Troy has a high floor hit tool, but it could also generate a high ceiling depending on how his in-game power and speed develop in 2024. Bryce Eldridge was drafted in the 1st round, 16th overall by the Giants out of James Madison High School in Virginia. He's one of the most unique players on this checklist for 2 reasons. First, he's 6'7" tall at 19.1 years old, and second, he's a 2-way player, a first baseman and a right-handed pitcher. Eldridge has a significant offensive ceiling, which came to life in the Complex League, where he hit 5 homers in 61 plate appearances, earning a promotion to Low A, where he continued to hit for average, but faced a small drought in the power department. I wouldn't exactly expect him to be cheap on release day, as he's already hyped up as the next Ohtani. Kendall George was drafted in the 1st round, 36th overall, out of Atascocita High School in Texas. I'll keep this short and sweet. He's Justin Crawford 2.0, just a few inches shorter. Elite speed and plus hit tool, but the power is a no-go. Mac Horvath was the 2nd round pick for the Orioles out of North Carolina University. In his final year with the Tar Heels, he hit .305 with 24 home runs, 23 extra base hits, and 25 stolen bases. He's definitely got a speed power ceiling here after hitting 5 home runs and stealing 15 bags in under 100 plate appearances across 3 levels in his pro debut. He has a lot of diversity defensively, having experience at second base, third base, and in both corner outfield spots. Offensively, he kind of reminds me of Judd Fabian, who was the O's 2nd round pick last year. Now, before we get into our final slide, I wanted to give a quick shout out to all of the players with a rank of 3.5. I'm putting them on an honorable mentions list. If you guys want to grab a screenshot and check out my breakdown over on Patreon, you can get a better description of how these players achieved their rank. Our final Tier 2 prospect is Jacob Wilson, who was drafted in the 1st round, 6th overall out of Grand Canyon University. He's probably got one of the most advanced contact bats on this checklist. He entered the draft as a junior after hitting .412 with only 5 strikeouts in 217 plate appearances, the lowest K percentage on this list for a collegiate player. He's got the ability to stick at shortstop, but the contact tool drives the car. He doesn't have much thump, and his ground ball to fly ball rates don't promote it either, but his hit tool is elite. Following the draft, he became the A's #1 overall prospect. We could see this bat in the major leagues as early as 2024. The Mariners took another high school shortstop in the 1st round of the 2023 draft in Colt Emerson, 22nd overall, who is our only 1.5 ranked player on this list. I was immediately drawn to his K numbers across 2 levels this season, which are phenomenal for his age. He's one of the top high school bats coming out of his draft class and quickly made it known in the Complex League and Low A. Between the 2 levels, he hit 2 home runs with 10 doubles, posting a .374 combined batting average. Emerson may not stick at shortstop, but he's got enough arm to make a shift to third base. Regardless of where he ends up defensively, his bat will be the tool that takes him to the next level. We've got 2 Tier 1 players, and we're going to start with Matt Shaw, who was drafted by the Cubs in the first round, 13th overall, out of the University of Maryland. Much like Horvath, he had a dominant campaign in his final year of the Terrapins and has a significant hit, power, speed trio. Shaw hit .341 with 24 home runs, 21 extra base hits, and 18 stolen bases while taking 1 more walk than strikeout in his final year. He made his pro debut in the Complex League and finished up in Double A, hitting .357 with 8 home runs and 13 extra base hits with 15 stolen bases to boot. Probably one of the best pro debut performances on this checklist behind Wyatt Langford. Shaw's success in Double A in 2023 puts him in a great position going into the 2024 season. He should be attending big league camp next year, and we could see a call-up at some point as well. Defensively, he held a .978 fielding percentage at second base and an .875 fielding percentage at shortstop. So I'll let y'all do the math on that one defensively. Max Clark was the 3rd overall pick in the 2023 draft out of Franklin Community High School in Indiana. If it weren't for cosmic NCAA stars like Paul Skenes and Dylan Cruz, he could have been easily taken number 1 overall. Clark already possesses 5-tool talent at the age of 18, but no one can predict how he will transition his talents to the next level. I've watched a lot of videos and he plays very hard. He did well in the Complex League, hitting for some average and power with great K numbers, but his 51 plate appearance sample size in Low A wasn't very impressive. He's one of the youngest players coming out of the 2023 draft and yet to turn 19. I'll have more confidence in my Let's Talk Wax rank after a full year of pro ball. I do expect Max Clark to hold the biggest price tag of any prospect on this list. And finally, our only elite tier rankie on this checklist right now, Wyatt Langford, who was the 4th overall pick in the 2023 draft out of the University of Florida. He can flat out mash and showed it in his professional debut, finishing the 2023 minor league season as an easy top 5 bat. With Cruz most likely being held for 2023 Bowman, Langford's bat is the closest to MLB ready than anyone else on this checklist. He actually finished the season at number 1 on my Juggernaut ranking system, so there's not a whole lot of need to spend much time here because the kid can flat out stroke. And that's going to wrap this video up. As I said before, if you guys enjoy my content and you want to help support the channel and unlock some exclusive content, be sure to check out my Patreon page. I'll put a link to that in the video description. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to all my Patreon level 3 sponsors. You guys rock. If you guys enjoy my videos, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to let me know in the comments who you'll be chasing in this release on December 12th.